All right, with that, before I hop into this, I'm going to pass it back over to Jamie to introduce himself more properly. Jamie, would you let everybody know a little bit about your background and what you're up to today?
So I'm a Canuck, like yourself, here in Toronto, Canada, and I would now classify myself as a serial entrepreneur. When you see my deal rooms, you'll realize that I own multiple businesses. But pertaining to today, 10 years ago, I was fortunate enough to see around a corner, and I helped pioneer and invent the category that is social selling. Wrote 2 books on the topic and scaled a company, Sales for Life, to serve 600 global customers around the world. We merged it into Pipeline Signals, which really focuses on account-based sellers who struggle with self-sourcing. So prospecting, we are an enablement as a service business that makes sure that AEs, AMs can really reinvigorate their prospecting skills.
Amazing. Awesome. And you've been a good friend of Vidyard for many years, a big proponent of video for both prospecting and through the sales cycle. And when we first started talking about what we're doing with Vidyard Rooms, I remember like how excited you got because of the problems it was going to help solve. So let's start right there. I've thrown up a couple of big stats here, folks. These are from the good folks at Gartner Research, some of the latest data from them in analyzing the world of B2B sales and buying. These are some pretty like wild stats. The first one here, 77% of B2B buyers that they've spoken with state that their latest purchase was very complex or difficult, right? 3/4 feel, and I'm sure we can all relate to that, right? At least those of us who do B2B buying. It's often a very complex and difficult experience. Does it always have to be? I don't know. And the second one here should be like, it's almost frightening for those of us in the world of sales. 75% of B2B buyers state that they prefer a rep-free buying experience. Now, personally, I'm not convinced that everybody really wants a totally rep-free experience, but I think it's indicative of some problems that have happened in the market, some challenges that we're all facing. And I wanted to kick off by asking you, Jamie, questions here up on the screen. Do you believe that buyers really want a rep-free buying experience? What are the pains you think buyers are feeling that are making them say that?
I don't know if it's rep-free, but there's a Gartner stat that you didn't have here, which they looked at the buying journey of thousands and thousands of CTOs specifically. I think it was CTOs. Long and the short, they found that 87% was not part of the live experience. Now, I mean live like we're doing now, virtual live or physically live. So 13% of that journey was with me, the seller, in a boardroom with that CTO, or on a Zoom or Teams call with that CTO. The other 87% of that journey was offline, peer-to-peer networking. Maybe they're in a Slack channel with somebody, they're on LinkedIn, they're doing Google research. So I can't influence, so I can influence and attribute the way they think when I'm offline, but I can't control it. And that's the important piece. So I need to influence it.
Yeah, well, it's funny when you mentioned that stat. I recall of that 13%. That's also the amount of time with all the reps they're dealing with. So if they've got three vendors they're evaluating, each of you are only getting about 4 to 5% of their time. And so to your point, so much of the buying journey is happening asynchronously, offline, in different online channels and consuming information. And I know as a buyer myself in many situations, I find all these cases where I, say to a sales rep very politely, I say, you know what, rather than like scheduling another call, can you just share some really great information that I can review offline? Maybe a great video, maybe a great walkthrough, and something that the 3 other people on my team who are also part of this process are able to consume so that they don't all have to join this live call just to walk through whatever it is that we're looking for. And I think that shift towards more self-service, more asynchronous, and catering to distributed buying teams is a really important trend that I think we're seeing buyers push for, and a big area where digital sales rooms are hopefully going to help.
Well, can I actually give a real life scenario of this morning? This will kind of paint a picture. So I am an active buyer looking for an Audibles or audiobook studio. I tried to, I'm launching a book in the next couple days or couple weeks or month. And I thought I could record that book at my home studio. And it didn't pass the Audibles test for Amazon because of like feedback and noise. The buying experience. So here's the important piece. You cannot control or stop me from learning. Whether you like it or not as a seller, I'm going to learn with or without you. But the experience of trying to find a studio, I live here in Oakville, which is a suburb of Toronto, Canada, within 50 miles of my house. The experience and the agonizing pain that I have felt in the last 4 hours trying to figure out, how am I going to record this thing? No one's there to help me. No one is facilitating the buying journey. Nobody's sharing information. The digital experience of learning was brutal. I don't even know where to start. So there's so many gaps that I, as the buyer, I'm going to learn with or without you. And you, the first person to have, if they were to facilitate learning with me right now, guaranteed they'd win my business.
Love it. Love it. So creating that guided buying experience that isn't quite rep free, but it's rep supported, it's rep led, but done in a way that you are allowed and enabled to self-serve, to consume the information on your time, but with the support and guide from a rep. That's actually, I think in a nutshell, a big part of the answer to this question from my side is, why I get so excited about the rise of digital sales rooms. For those who aren't familiar with what a digital sales room really is, we're gonna walk through in the next couple minutes. But maybe just answer this question, and then we're gonna hop right into like walking through and showing this stuff live in action. What does get you so excited about digital sales rooms, Jamie? And in your first sort of experience with Vidyard rooms, what do you think? What are you excited about?
I'm going to play the two-sided marketplace that exists here. We'll start with the customer. I'm the customer, and at the end of every meeting, what is the number one ask they ask you for? Can you send me material so I can internally sell? Their buying committee. Do they know who the buying committee is? That's a question in itself. And two, can they wrangle that team together, bring consensus? It's called building consensus. That's an actual stage of the sales process to bring it forward. You are now creating a robust multimedia experience for them to co-pilot or co-sell with you. There's nothing worse than your champion thinking they're you and they could sell like you. And on your side, the number one thing as an account executive, the biggest problem, time management. Do I focus on account A versus B? Do I do it today, not tomorrow? Now I have buying intent in my hands. And yeah, it's great that you have Sixth Sense or Bora or demand base at the marketing level, but that's not trickling down to us as sellers. And so me as a seller, I have full control over 50 accounts I'm working, who's engaged, who's not. I'm doing account prioritization and segmentation immediately. So that's the two-sided marketplace and why I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about it through that lens, because you mentioned earlier about how your buyers are going to do this offline, independent, self-serve research one way or the other. And in the old world / today's world, most of that happens completely outside of your realm, right? They're going and finding the information on your website, right? Hopefully some of it's there, on shared drives, on third-party channels, and so on. But the idea with a digital sales room, when you can bring in that information plus your own, updates and walkthroughs and call recordings in one place, you now give them the ability to self-serve within an environment you've created. And to your point, you now are able to know, what are they engaging with? Who else is engaging with that content? And it gives up control to the buyer to let them self-serve. But in turn, I actually think as a rep, you get back a lot of control over the sales process, and the net benefit is like so huge, which is really, really interesting.
Well, what you described at the beginning, I was just going to say, what you described at the beginning there was a break in a process that in complex B2B sales, we take for granted. And I'm only starting to appreciate this. One of my companies has a major e-commerce component, and I'm seeing the slight nuances when you alter the shopping cart experience of a checkout, how the drop-off rate changes. But in us, complex B2B sales, what you described is, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I'd like you to cobble together the knowledge you need, PDFs over here, go to the resource library over here, go to the testimonial page over here. Every time you're asking somebody to do the work for them, you've created a slight break in the process. Now, in B2B sales, we always just assume, well, if they want it so bad, they're going to move forward. But in fact, it's that little amount of friction that we're compounding. I don't think us in B2B sales, and I'm learning this as a 45-year-old guy who's finally seeing the B2C side of e-commerce, realize I'm creating these little friction points that are compounding to the reason why I might have a 20% sales qualified lead to close rate when I could have a 38% sales qualified lead to close rate, just because I just removed the friction points.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great framing. It's that, reducing friction as a marketer that resonates with me. We're always thinking about reducing friction in the learning and buying process. The best buyer's journey often wins. The best experience is a huge part to making that final decision. So while you get your fingers ready to share, because I want to show people now, what does a Vidyard room, digital sales room look like? How can you use it? Some different use cases. So get your sharing fingers ready. Feel free to pop up on the screen. As you do that, I will, ask the audience here, please hop into the chat and let us know, yes or no, have you ever used a digital sales room as a way to manage a deal cycle with a customer? And a digital sales room, the way we think about it, is an online space, private between you and your customer, where you can share different information, they can engage, access it, comment on it, collaborate, and so on.
A lot of hard no's here.
Well, and I will let people know, the good news is you're not alone. This is a relatively new area, but like so excited about it. So, all right, everybody is excited to learn.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Ooh, yeah.
In your past, as a seller, had you had a tool like LinkedIn, had you used SmartLink as an example? Because maybe the reframing is the people on the call didn't recognize they're leveraging a digital sales room when they have been leveraging something like it, and that will unlock the imagination of what this can become in the 21st century.
Right. Yeah. I mean, my version of that is a shared Google Drive with a bunch of subfolders and links, and it's okay, but it doesn't quite do what we need to do. Ray's with us here. Our good friend Ray McKella is, of course, uses smart links all the time. All right. Well, you know what? There's people are like, what is this digital sales room? Haven't used it. So let's do it. Let's pop it up, Jamie. Share your screen, and we're going to walk through how it is that something like this can work.
Now, team, I want to give everybody a quick 20-second speech before I show you what this is. What's most important for us as sellers is to be comfortable becoming uncomfortable. I'll say that again. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The most successful sales professionals are willing to push themselves off the status quo. A bunch of years ago, when Vidyard came out with video, when we started training sellers on using video throughout the sales process, the amount of hard no's far exceeded the yeses. And it took years and years to even get to Pareto's law, where at a sales organization, maybe 20% of sellers are using it. But understand that it's the same 20% of sellers that are outperforming peers. So if you're a sales leader, recognize that these are the leading indicators to the sellers that are willing to treat sales as a vocation, as a career, versus a job. So let me explain what a digital sales room. A digital sales room is and this is my opinion of it. I don't even know what the actual definition is or what Vidyard's going to kind of use as marketing material, but here's how I see it as an account executive. I see it as a portal between the customer and myself. It's a multimedia portal. And what I'm doing is I'm giving them a glimpse into all the things that they've asked of me, or I think that they should review. And it allows them to bring everybody in that buying committee into a centralized place. And in doing so, I get to track that they're doing that. And for me, there's some leading indicators as a seller. Number one, did they do what I asked or what they said they were going to do? That in itself is a form of intent. The seller notices that I gave you what you asked and you did nothing with it. You're not the qualified lead I thought you were. Two, do they know how to bring together that committee? And then three, what is that committee actually looking at? So what you see in front of you are rooms. These are rooms that are actually live. Like, I use these, and so I'm going to dive in. Tyler, is there anything you want to say before we actually go into a room? And here's the purpose of today's call. I'm going to show you a room that you can use at the top of the funnel. First touch point, second or third touch point. Haven't even booked the sales qualified meeting yet. Number two, demo or discovery call. There's always an ask for, can I have the material to build the buy-in consensus? And then number three, proposals in contract, preparing for onboarding. Anything you want to state, Tyler, before we jump in?
No, I think that's really great framing. And the last thing I'll remind people is, if you've got a Vidyard account, this is active today for all Vidyard users. So you can click on that little door icon on the left in your own Vidyard account and create your own room and follow along. So please do as we go. And to quickly answer Mark's question, absolutely, this is relevant if you are in considered purchase B2C sales as well, insurance, and so on. If you have the need to share, more than one piece of information or content with a potential buyer, a room is a really simple, great way to do that. Whether it be, again, documents, links out to other resources, quick videos where you're walking through things, introducing yourself. All of those are, great opportunities to use a room. So let's hop right into it, Jamie.
Yeah, and you're going to see I haven't even scratched the surface of all the possibilities, right? This is designed by Jamie, not designed by the marketing team. So what I want to show you is earliest in the funnel. Use case. You're an SDR, you're a BDR, and my favorite, you are an AE that recognizes that you need to self-source. So you need to create your own pipeline. Now, what is the goal or the objective? The objective is that I am fighting for the voice of the customer, and in that, or the ears and the eyes of the customer. And I believe when you book a meeting, you're doing what's called time for knowledge exchange. Tyler is the prospect. I'm trying to earn a spot on his calendar next Thursday. The only way I can do this is give him something he doesn't already know. I am exchanging him knowledge that has him question the opportunity cost of the way he's doing things today. Now, your old way of doing it, you write a diatribingly long email that nobody reads. And that doesn't really paint a vivid picture for Tyler, the prospect, as to why he should move forward. Option two, as an example, you might be introducing a service. You might be introducing a concept. I own a company called Get Leverage. We offshore talent in Bangladesh, specific to sales and marketing support. So we teach offshoring best practices, we recruit offshore talent, we manage and warehouse like a BPO on the books, and we have done-for-you services. There's a done-for-you service called the Digital Prospector that we're introducing to a prospect. So I'm able to create a customized video. This is specific to the CEO, the buyer persona that my company Get Leverage sells to is to the CTO. I made a personalized video to Roddy. I am showing Roddy the concepts of the Digital Prospector. I've given him some guidelines as to how to use this room, what to think about, calls to action. I could improve these. I could make it hyperlinked. As I'm sure here's, I've even given him my Calendly. So should he want to move forward, he can. But then there are resources on the right-hand side. I have resources that are going to push him off his status quo. And as an example, when I click on this resource, it's going to open up the ability for him to see learning portals. He's going to also notice that, as an example, he could subscribe to my newsletter. There's the pricing models. There's a landing page to what is the Digital Prospector and how it works. All kinds of resources that has him say, okay, I'm an influencer, I'm a CEO who knows I should be opening up my network and prospecting on LinkedIn. I don't have time to do it. What if I had offshore resources that could help me do that? So As Tyler mentioned, at the tactical level, I can have documents I can give landing pages, but I'm a huge fan of video. Video is like 10,000 words, not even 1,000 words. I'll pause for a second and let everybody digest. But the nice thing is here, imagine there were two companies talking about offshoring best practices. Company A, and you've probably seen these emails. It's like 10 sentences of garbage. We offshore, blah, 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 and just nonsense. Or I'm teaching Roddy something new, best practices. I'm teaching him a new concept. What's the percentage chance I open this door versus my competitor? So Tyler, any questions?
No, this is great. We there have been a couple of specific questions to Vidyard rooms that I think have been answered in the chat, which is awesome.
You want me after each one of these to copy them and paste them in the chat, and then thus people can start perusing around?
Hey, sure. Yeah, please put the link to the actual room in the chat. And if anybody wants to join the room and go in there and see the experience as a buyer, please do. And the only other thing, oh, please, Jamie, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm not the technical wizard that you are. So maybe as I'm sharing this, you could explain the optionality of share specifically via email or to a specific person versus the concept of going all out and sharing this to a mass audience.
Yeah, so when you create a new room, the one thing we really focused on here at Vidyard is making sure that anybody can do this. So to create a new room, you simply select new room, and you can add a logo and a title to it. It could be your customer's logo, it could be yours, whatever you'd like. And then again, it's just really, you can easily add videos with one click. You can add documents and links with one click. No other customization required. So it's meant to be really, really simple. As part of that process, as you mentioned, Jamie, there's the opportunity to make it a room that you can allow folks to join anonymously. So you can send the link out to individuals and they can join the room without having to log in. So that's great if you have, a wide group of audience members who, you want to reduce the friction as much as possible and make it as easy as possible for them to join. On the other side, you can set it up so that you can invite them directly and make sure that they sign in with an account. And in this case, we actually use the Vidyard account as that. So if they weren't yet have a Vidyard account, they'd be prompted to set one up, and then they would enter the room, and you would actually be able to identify them now as Jamie Smith or Sarah White or whatever they happen to be. And so if they're an anonymous visitor, you'll see that somebody anonymous joined your room. If there's somebody that you invited directly and they've logged in, you'll see that individual joined. So hopefully that helps set the context for how to create the room and then that experience of inviting folks.
I'd love to answer a few questions as they come because Brooke and Kenneth ask a very similar question that I will give to a singular response. Brooke asks a question. How would you suggest adjusting your approach for shorter sales cycles with a pre-meeting room? Do you ever worry about giving away the farm? Kind of like showcasing everything now. Why would they want to meet the seller? And Kenneth asked a similar question. Are you worried about prospects judging your service based on your price alone without talking to you? If you were to have asked me, so I'm 45 years old. I've been selling since literally the .com crash of 2000. In that period of time, from the year 2000 to 2010, there was a concept, a caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, because I was in commercial real estate at this time, and the commercial real estate advisor, held all the cards. I knew where all the properties were. I knew all the landlord and tenant deals. I was the knowledge base, and the prospect needed to suck that information out of me to get where they needed to go. And my customers were chief revenue officer or chief financial officers and CEOs. You fast forward to today's environment, it's caveat venditor. Let the seller beware. The buyer has all the information they need to make informed decisions. And if they do not have all that information, you are at a massive disadvantage. I am a believer that being 100% transparent on, this is just my personal belief, transparent on a website, from how the process works, to the deliverables and outcomes, to the pricing models, is in fact what either accelerates deals. So if you think about the three levers of sales, you have volume, velocity, and probability. If I can shrink my time, my velocity dramatically, that's like winning more deals because I'm increasing cash flow. I would rather that and have some people drop off to disqualify themselves earlier so that I and my account executives are not spinning their wheels, playing this chicken and egg dance back and forth. Are you going to eventually show me the price? Are you going to show me how this works? 87% of that journey is going to happen whether you like it or not behind the scenes. And you're only going to be in that room for 13% of it. You need to get people in and out of your funnel as fast as possible. And I'm a big believer that these rooms are helping people self-select themselves out. That's a good thing. I want people out of my funnel. I only want to focus on those. It's called the Chet Holmes pyramid. I only want to focus on that 3 to 10% of a market that is actually interested in buying, ready to buy, and can buy. And these rooms do help with that. So Tyler, is there anything you wanted to add to that? That's my perspective of it. And then I'll show 2 other rooms to everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's spot on. And be mindful, folks, that these rooms are, they're very flexible and can be used in lots of different ways. And so whether it's something where you're sharing a welcome video and a link to 2 different documents and a pricing proposal, or something where you've got a lot of different information to share, maybe you're even adding, you have call recording. So you do a Zoom call with a customer, it's been recorded, that you can drag that video into the room. If you have Vidyard's business plan, it can be synced with Zoom. In one click, you can add it into the room. Really, really simple. So it's got lots of different options in how you can use it. We certainly don't prescribe specific, examples or use cases because it's really simple, really flexible. And whether it's short deal cycle, long deal cycle, 1 champion, 20 stakeholders, there's lots of different ways in which it can help you just get that information to the right person in the right place and allow them, again, to easily engage in what you're sharing, track those engagements, and ultimately move them forward in a much easier fashion for the buyer.
So I'll keep the train rolling and I'll show use case number 2, room number 2. Room number 2, Tyler's the prospect. He's a champion. He comes to the call, he shows up alone. Welcome to complex B2B sales. And there are 5 to 10 other decision makers, champions, and influencers that are either working with, above, beside Tyler, and then there's cross-functional leaders. And never confuse that champion on the call with the decision maker. Even in some of the smallest 4-figure deals right now, in today's economy, selling 4-figure deals still has a form of a buying committee. You're selling 5-figure, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and one of our customers, Celestica, does 10-figure deals. We're talking extreme complexity. So here's what's happening. At the end of that call, Tyler's going to say, and here's that back and forth. Me as the seller, you want to book a meeting within a meeting. Great. So we've organized our next step and meeting. We've locked it in the calendar. At the same time, Tyler says, for me to be able to hold that meeting, and I want to bring the team with me, I need some collateral because he's about to do some internal selling. So you have to package it up. Now, in your gut, you don't want Tyler selling on behalf of you. You know that, but it's an inevitability. So I need the room to do some form of selling for me. So I'm going to share this room, and this particular room has, as an example, if you click on it, we have a landing page that is the actual demo experience that we go through with a customer. So what happens is on that call, I have a live demo room. So I can click here. We go, let's go to get more at bats, or let's go to a particular stage. And when I click on it, it drives me to that particular stage of that particular document. And this landing page is an important piece to our presentation. We don't use PowerPoint. We're using this landing page as a guide or a primer to keep the conversation on track. Well, I've got that here. I've got customer stories and success stories. So I click on success stories because they're going to be asking for this. Well, show me what you've done in the past. All this information is here. One of the things, and this is something that I've learned over time, I'm setting them up for success right up front. I've even given them all the vendor documents. They can begin the process of the tax information in my company, data profit processing, data privacy. This is all going to be happening behind the scenes as they evaluate a service provider or vendor. But I can then also contextualize this video. In this video, this happens to be a generalist video. I can make derivatives of this same room, and I can make it so it's specific to John. John, great call today, or Tyler, great call today. Here's the recap. What Tyler just said, take the Zoom recording, place it in here. Everything's in one spot. So when I'm sending it over, Tyler, the champion, is just saying, hi, CRO, his counterpart. Hi, VP Operations and Finance, who I need to get money from. Here's everything about this deal. Are we interested in continuing this conversation? Tyler, any thoughts or questions on, and I think this is, I use the rooms the most at this stage. Why? Because I know statistically, if I don't, I'm going to go into what's called that dead zone. That dead zone is the uncomfortable silence when they say, yeah, we're going to have a meeting in 2 weeks. We're going to bring everybody to the call. I can see if they actually went in the room, looked at it, who's looked at it. I'm assembling the buying committee. I'm taking notes and putting it in our CRM of who these people are. And if they're not doing it, I'm disqualifying them.
Yeah. Well, I love this as well. And while I'm chatting here, feel free to drop the link to this room into the chat if you'd like, Jamie. Folks might get in there and see it live. But, for me, again, this opportunity as a way to enable your buyers and to help get all the relevant information in front of each of the different stakeholders is just so important. And that to me is like such a huge value prop of using a digital sales room, because the reality is most of those other stakeholders are not going to be joining live calls. And you don't want to be having emails sent to them with 4 different links on where to find different things, or even worse, multiple emails saying, here's where to find this, here's where to find that. So again, this sort of aggregation point of the various resources that you need to get up to speed are in this one centralized place, as well as the ability, as you mentioned, to record and add custom videos into it, right inside the room. You can actually see at the top there's an add video button. It's like right inside the room. The neat thing now is those different stakeholders who have never met Jamie, right? So his champions met him, maybe 1 or 2, but there's probably 5 other people who've never met Jamie. They come in here, they watch Jamie's welcome video. They've now met you, right? They've gotten to hear you, they've gotten to see you, they've gotten to know you, they get to trust you. And so that that sort of combined value of like personal video in a room like this is really, really compelling. Now, there were a couple of questions around, data and analytics, right? What do we get notified about? What can we learn about our prospects inside a room like this? So I will sort of quickly answer that. So you will get a notification when somebody joins the room or when somebody visits the room. So again, in that case, if you've invited your champion, you'll get a notification, oh, they've joined the room. But then a couple hours later, you just might get a notification saying, oh, somebody else joined the room, or Sarah White joined the room. And so you'll get those notifications as people join and visit the room as an indicator of activity for that account. Within the room itself, you will get view notifications on all of the videos you've embedded, like you always do with Vidyard. So you'll know that somebody watched a certain video for a certain length. And if they are a known viewer, then you'll know exactly who that was. You'll also know when people add comments into it. So we didn't dive into this yet, but within a video, people can add comments at any point in time. So they can leave information and do some collaboration. And so those are the main notifications that you will get today. The room itself does not yet, and I emphasize yet, provide analytics on clicks of the different resources or documents. However, that is certainly something that is top of our priority list as we grow the product. But there was a question, which I think was a very a good question / comment, was those links that you do provide, those links you have full control over. So you could absolutely add tracking tags, UTM tags, things like that, so that on your back end, you can track and know, oh, this person visited from a room or something like that. So there are other ways to track those links on the back ends if you do want to get to that point. But certainly something that we're very excited and thinking very hard about, of adding in those notifications for clicks on resources and documents.
And Mark asked an important question because, and this is where everybody, account-based sellers, right? Account-based sellers can be pre-sales, they can be post-sales. So Mark is clearly somebody who focuses on a portfolio of accounts, and his job is to upsell and cross-sell. Let me tell you a story. If we came back to the original room at my company, Get Leverage. So Get Leverage, most of the customers that come in, they initiate, and we have a training program on offshoring best practices. It's a full certification for founders and CEOs and their ELT team. And what are all the best practices to offshoring? It's a gateway drug. And that gateway drug, 50% of those customers then upsell into, okay, I've learned, now I'm ready to recruit some talent, or I want to recruit and you to manage that talent, or what have you. So to your question, Mark actually asked the question, can I have a room that's used for order bumps or upselling inside my room? The sky's the limit. The imagination of, think of how you already communicate. And I think back to, we enabled Microsoft Azure sellers for years and years. And that's what they did. They actually looked at usage data all the time. And then they would then go back to Azure users and say, well, you're using it the right way, you're using it the wrong way. There's ways that you could, if you spent a little more, you would unlock these things. Well, how are you communicating that today? You're probably doing one of two things. You're writing an email, maybe with some screenshots, or you might make a video, or you call them. Well, if you want to make it more robust and think that the person you're sending this to needs a more clear picture, and they're going to have to sell this to other people, how do I make a consensus package together to clearly indicate to Mark wants an order bump or an upsell? You're making compelling arguments in video, in writing, with some documents. Hey, you're doing X today. If you were to use it this way, or you were to go from the Teams package to the professional package, you would unlock all of these things. And this is what it means to you and your business. You could do all that with this room. And that would be really powerful. I don't use this as much. I'm a pre-sales junkie. So I'm like in all my businesses, I'm the rainmaker, and I have teammates that manage the customers and so forth. And I still, I guess, get involved in the upsell, cross-sell, but I still see it as a pre-sales thing. But the same use cases apply. And what I'll do in a moment, team, is I'll show you that last mile use case that I use it for. The last mile is I have one called Launch and Onboard to Success. Okay, so here is the use case. Tyler's the prospect. Tyler has got the committee involved. They've checked this out a couple of times, and now they're asking the buying questions. What are your vendor documents? Can I see a statement of work? Let's start talking about aligning you to a compelling event like a sales kickoff or something. So now I need to give them all the information they need. You'll notice that some of the documents repeat themselves. It's amazing how many times you could email a statement of work to somebody, and then 3 weeks later, they're like, hey, can you send me a statement of work? Put it all in one place, and you just guide people back to the original location. Here is what I'm wanting to look for. Who ultimately signs these deals. So if we think about this, the last mile of success, I need to get a DocuSign or a wet signature on a piece of paper, and I need to prepare people for success. So what am I looking for? The people that need to sign this, do they look at this? And if this starts to drift more than what we agreed upon is normal drifting, we've got a problem. So I'm giving you everything you need. I have the subscription document. I have my terms and conditions. Like, you don't have to say you can't find it when it's, number one, it's online, or number two, I've even given you the Word version so your lawyers can fumble around with it. I've given you my data privacy. I've given you my data processing addendum that you need. I've even given you the tax information you need. So you have, as the customer, you have everything you need to set me up as a vendor in your Ariba and your Spyglass, whatever it is. We're ready to go. Now I'm going to hold your hand on that last mile until we get the DocuSign. Now, we also have online payments, so I can throw that in here, or we can throw in the DocuSign. This stage we don't. Right now we've been doing that offline, but I could put that in here. And again, I can make videos that assume success. Here's what we need to do. You told me we need to have this signed by this date because you want to launch to do this. Here's your compelling a date. Here's my work back schedule. You can use a Gantt chart, work back schedule. All these things are at your disposal to put in one central location. So I'll put this in the chat. Tyler, any last thoughts here? And then we can A, open it to questions, B, if there's technical things you want to cover.
Yeah, no, I think this is terrific. The couple of questions came in sort of generally as we talked through all these different rooms, Jamie, around, what you found. I know it's fairly early for you using these out in the wild, but what you found or might expect for others to see. Number one, a question from Jeff around engagement levels with customers. Are you finding customers are joining these rooms? Are they willing? Are they engaging? And then sort of an extension to that, another question just around, sales impact, like, either what you've seen or what you will expect to see in terms of, is this about increasing your close rates? Is it about shortening your deal cycles? So maybe just talk to those two areas around buyer engagement in the rooms, and then where you tend to see or expect to see the impact on the sales cycle.
So I'll answer the first piece. Buyer engagement is always, because I don't create the optionality. I think of it as breaking process. If you're a sales professional, your sales leader is probably harping on you all the time. There is a process, and if you control the process, if you teach the customer how to move along a journey, you have a much better informed customer. They're better prepared for success after the sale. The same story applies. By taking documents and taking them outside of this arena. Now, I've been using digital sales rooms before Vidyard started building this. As mentioned, there was LinkedIn Point Drive. There were tools even before Point Drive I used to use. Then there's Point Drive and SmartLink, and this is just an evolution. And I've always loved the robustness of the integration with video. So what I believe is that I am facilitating a buying journey, but I'm coaching the customer on for you to actually buy. And a lot of times customers don't know how to buy. They think they do, but they don't know all the buying committee. They actually have never gone through a buying journey to know that there could be these roadblocks in IT or in finance. So I'm packaging it all together for them. I don't want things out offline. Put it in one central spot. You have conversations with customers if they push back. Oh, can you just send it to me? No, here, it's all in one place. It's a simple link. This keeps us all working together. Don't let champions muscle you around and make you think that they know what they're doing. Most of the time they don't. And this is your opportunity to coach them. You've done this before. Here's where deals fall off the rails when we break process. Let's do this together. So I hope that answered part A. So from a use case, it's an always if you facilitate it the right way. From the what do I look for? So again, there are 3 levers that you can influence as a seller. I can control the volumes of leads. I can control the probability, the velocity, the speed at which a deal happens, and then conversion or probability. And where I'm focused the most on is one of those 2, the middle one and the third one, which is velocity. I want to make it really simple for people to decide. And the sales cycle at Pipeline Signals is 38 days. And the sales cycle at Get Leverage is 10. And so I need people to be able to make informed decisions, yes and no's, very quickly. So what I'm using these for is to make sure they fit within those windows. And number two, conversion. Conversion at Pipeline Signals right now is 25%. Conversion at Get Leverage is 45%. Again, I want them to be able to make informed decisions on time, be able to say yes or no very quickly. So I am not wasting my time, because what's called your pipeline coverage starts to swell. It's the number of accounts that you have in open opportunity, which you are wasting your time with a lot of them. You know in your heart, they're not really opportunities, and they're giving you the digital signals that you're just not listening to. So I'm using that to cull out the pipeline coverage and really just focus in on the deals that are in that Chet Holmes pyramid, that 3 to 10% that are actually going to buy in the period of time that we historically have had success. If you break that process, if you bleed into at Pipeline Signals, you start bleeding past the quarter that we're looking at right now to do this initiative, you just have other priorities. That's fine, but this isn't a top priority. So let's not waste each other's time. I can get in and out of this cycle quickly and move on to the next. So I hope that answered the question, Tyler.
Yeah, I think it did and more. I love that perspective of making this a integrated part of their buying process, and actually saying, look, this is how we are going to interact. I've put all these things in here for you. Your next step is to review here, is to find a document in here, and not give them that out of saying, oh, and I'll email you the link to that document as well. You always put it in the room. You teach them to go there, because now as they are engaging there, it increases the chances that they are going to, again, be able to easily invite other stakeholders and make it faster and easier for them. It gives them cross exposure to other information, answers to questions that are in here, and other things to influence the deal. And like you said, it gives you real-time insight into, are they actually engaging here? Are they coming into the room? Are they watching videos? Are they accessing documents? And so it's a really smart approach. And it was really interesting to hear you talk through that, as this isn't just like, hey, if you want to go there, it's there. It's like, no, this is a part of how we're going to engage, and it's valuable for both of us in doing so. And I think that's a really, really impactful approach. So thank you for walking through that. There were a couple of product questions that I will just answer really quickly, if you don't mind. There was a question around whether Rooms is only available for Vidyard business plans. And the answer is no. Vidyard Rooms is freely available for all Vidyard users. And if you're not a Vidyard user, you can sign up for free and have at it. So there is no roadblock to you starting to create and use these rooms in your own process. It's one of our commitments here at Vidyard. Everything we build, we make sure that you can always use it yourself in the wild for free. And a second question around branding the rooms, and similar question. Yes, you can update the logo in the top corner of the room, the title, and do some of that basic branding of pages with both the free and business version. That's another area where we're looking at continuing to add more and more capabilities to continue to customize. But today, absolutely, you can put your customer's logo, you can put your customer's name, and do some other basic tweaks for them with the free version as well. So give it a shot. Hop into Vidyard, click on that Rooms icon, create a room, and try it out for yourself. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Well, actually, do you want me to show you something, team?
Oh, let's do it.
Look at this. You wanted to talk about buying intent. It's right here.
I love it.
And so the rooms that I shared with everybody, it is able to capture that intelligence. And that's really important. I'm not in a sales cycle with any of you right now. What I'm saying is, this is really important as you share with the customer. Is Daniel interested or is he not? That I have that intelligence, and that's really important to me as an account-based seller. Buying intent is a word that marketing uses a lot, but doesn't realize it doesn't trickle down to us sellers many times.
A final big thank you to Jamie and for all of you for your active participation. We will wrap it up here. Again, Jamie, thanks so much for joining us, my friend.
You take care.
All right. Take care, everyone, and enjoy Vidyard Rooms. All the best.